Hi dolls. Ever since starting out this channel, I've been looking all over for dolls that need a little help. I have had this doll for 12 years. I believe her name is Sweetie, part of the first release of the Barbie Fashionistas line. And she has been to hell and back.
Veronica, you look like hell.
Yeah, I just got back.
She was my experiment doll back when I was just starting out, and she's been a multitude of characters through the years. I had to sand everything down with 180 grit sandpaper, because obviously I can't use acetone. I try and not focus too much on one area, as to not alter the original shape too much. At the end, she is left with tiny scratch marks all over, so I buff everything out with a very fine sandpaper block. Before losing her hand, I will glue it in place with super glue. I clean her from all the plastic dust particles using a generic cleaning solution. To restore the shine back to her body, I gloss her using glossy varnish. This works particularly well as it will settle into the tiny scratches and make her look good as new. I remove her face using pure acetone. I begin my next step with a prayer to my younger self, hoping that I haven't used Sharpie to give the poor bitch roots. And luckily, my prayers have been answered. Now that her roots have been bleached, it was time for a fresh color. I smear some lip balm all over her face to protect it first. I want to start out by saying this is a very hit or miss technique, so if you want to attempt it, do it on some doll you don't really care about. I mix some red and yellow acrylic paint. Then I add some vinegar, because according to some customizers, it helps the acrylic stain the hair better. Before painting, I wrap her body in plastic wrap. You want to go way darker than you think you need, because 95% of the color you see here will just wash out. I start by painting her roots. Then I go in and spread everything out. And when I eventually got tired, I just dipped her entire head and combed the color through. Then I let her sit until she was fully dry. To wash her, I first lather the hair in conditioner to soften the acrylic. Then I rinse. And then I wash it with dish soap until the water runs clear. If you don't do this, you may risk color bleeding into the clothes. So don't skip this step. The result was honestly better than expected. It left me with this pinkish hue throughout. Now, it's obviously far from perfect. It's blotchy and some pieces have grabbed onto the pigment more than others, but overall it doesn't look terrible to me. I have had it up to here with the Millie face mold, so I give her some plastic surgery. I cut her smile out with a utility knife. If you want a crackhead Barbie, you could stop here. I personally chose to superglue the mouth shut. It's time to get started on her face up. I start by sketching her new face with brown pencil. Do you ever leave a project unfinished overnight and the next day you realize, wow, this is garbage, maybe working on it for 6 hours straight wasn't such a good idea? So I gave her new face, side-glancing eyes with a blue pencil. Then I went in with a pressed pigment to give her eyeshadow, and I smoked it out. I wanted her to have a vintage feel, so I went for a cartoonish type of vintage glam with her face up. I go in with black pencil to draw in her eyeliner. Then I go over the eyes with a white pencil. And I use it to cut the crease as well. I must admit, after working on her, the Millie face mold has grown on me. I feel like she's very versatile and allows for a variety of face-ups. Then I go in with brown pencil to further define and deepen the eye socket. I highlight the brow bone with white. And now I can finally go in with acrylic and get everything to the right level of intensity. I blush her using a pink pressed pigment on a soft blending brush. For her lip color, I chose a muted pink, and I kept the shape fairly natural. You may have noticed her lips have tiny gaps. These will get buried under a few coats of glossy varnish and won't be really noticeable in the end. I gave her some fake lashes and trimmed them a bit. For her outfit, I made her a simple merino wool sweater, circle skirt, and frilly socks to complete the look. And she's done! I have to confess I'm pretty proud of this transformation. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at DoDearWonderland. Thank you so much for all your support, and I'll see you in my next video.